Yay Networks.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode. I'm Emily.
I thought you were going to say, cheers to that shit.
Cheers to that shit. Yep. I'm Emily.
And I'm Laura.
And this is again, cheers to that shit.
Oh my God. Every time our episodes start and I'm listening to them, I'm like, wow, okay, that is super lame. Alrighty.
Here we go.
I
know. Well, I try to come in like, hey, we're having a natural conversation, whatever. And you're always like, no, this is not fun and exciting. We need to be more energetic.
Okay, I did say that
a few times.
In my defense, it was because we were just like, and this is cheers to that shit. Like, it was not a big deal. And it is a big deal. And the cheers to that shit is like a fun emphasis. I mean, in
fun
my
shit.
I have adopted that into my whole entire life because I'm always kind of a like, oh, cheers person. And so every time something happens now in our life, I'm like, oh, that's fun. Yeah, cheers to that shit. Cheers to that shit. My kids sent me something the other day. We have this family group text message, and I was like, oh, well, cheers to that shit. It was Mateo. Okay, this is a little off topic.
That's okay.
Mateo sent, you'll laugh because you know my son, so you'll know this. He sent me this map of, apparently there was some sort of a atomic bomb that was dropped over Fayetteville, North Carolina, back in 1960 something, but 3 of the 4 pins in it detonated and 1 didn't, which is why we're all still here.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if this is urban legend or whatever, but it was this link to this little map where you could put it in and see what would have happened, whatever. And he's like, so 3, one of the pins didn't detonate. So that's why we're all still here. And I was like, well, cheers to that shit.
Well, cheers to that shit, baby.
So anywho, yep.
I thought you were going to take it as like, because there's 4 pins and you have 4 kids and one of the 3. And so he's like, which one of us didn't detonate?
No. And really, that's just a dumb story altogether because my point was I've just really adopted the cheers to that shit until everything in my life now is, well, cheers to that shit.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
That means my life's either really great or it's super lame.
I mean, if you have a lot of things to cheers, I feel like it's really nice.
Cheers to that shit.
And yes, cheers to that shit.
Right
Listen,
on.
you guys, if you have anything fun going on in your life related to weddings not at this point, just send them in. Stories that cheers to that shit.
That aren't about atomic bombs.
Yeah, no, I mean, or they are if you had an atomic bomb go off at your wedding. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
That was a different way to start off today.
What's been going on?
What's
that? The 411. Oh, that?
The 411?
Yeah.
Do people say that?
No.
Or are you mocking me?
Yes.
Great. For all of you people, I have a funny 411 story too.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Here we go. So back in the day, you used to get on your phone and dial 411. And it used to be, operator, can I help you? Do you even know this?
I feel like I do, but like suppressed knowledge maybe.
Okay. So I had a cell phone. So this technology wasn't too long ago. So there was a restaurant over in North Hills that I used to eat at. It changed names several times, but it was called Mama Foos. F-U-apostrophe-S. Mama Foos. It was an Asian place. Loved it. It was great.
Oh, really? Asian, not Italian?
Yeah. What was the dead giveaway? So nobody was home, blah, blah, blah. Had to order my own dinner. So I get on my phone in my car and I dial 411. Operator, can I help you? I'm like, yes. Can I have the number for Mama Foos in Raleigh, North Carolina? She's like, I'm sorry. What is the name of that? Mama Foo. F-U. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant to say. That's like how you spell the name of the restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
And this is what she said. One moment, please, while I connect you.
Oh, she was like not having it.
Yeah.
My maiden name started with F-U as well. So it was like F-U-Q. And when people would be like, wait, what did you just say? And so I'd be like, F-U, Q-U. And they'd kind of look at me and I'm like, I mean, Jesus, Lord.
It's just letters.
Yeah, but I would do the same thing and they would always get like super offended, but like I found like sick joy in it. And
yeah,
I'm telling everyone to fuck off.
Yeah, I would totally fun. So it's like this, buddy.
F-U,
Q-U.
And I'd always break it into those pauses too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, F-U, Q you. And because like
they're like waiting for
you're
like,
whoa.
is she about to tell me off or what's happening?
And how do you spell that? F-U. No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know how
I
to
just
spell
want to
it. I'm so
spell your
sorry.
name, lady.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you.
Oh, I have a name that you have to spell too, but yours is way funnier than mine. Anywho.
Oh, your last name. I was like, what is it?
It's a secret.
I'm not telling you.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, I think we've done too much now. Focus, everybody. God, we talk about weddings here. Can we please be professional?
Of course.
Jesus. So today we have a fun topic. Fun-ish. It can get, I feel like, a little catty. We're going to try to not to keep it catty, but it might get that way because
it can just be a very contentious topic.
We are going to be talking about, and I'm air quoting, budget weddings.
Yeah, budget weddings. There's a lot of, like I said, contention that revolves around that word.
Yeah.
Budget does not mean cheap.
No,
not at all.
It's your budget. You have a budget. Everyone has a budget for their wedding.
Right. I think for purposes of this, though, we're kind of talking
We
about...
are talking about cost-effective weddings.
Cost-effective.
Yeah.
When we say budget, we're referring to what would be less than what the national average is. Because if you were in line with the national average or above it, it wouldn't be on budget.
Yeah. So that is what we are going to be talking about. It also depends on where you live. So like, we looked at a couple states, like in New Jersey, the average wedding cost is more than the national average.
Yeah,
it's
like
about
$20,000.
Yeah, it's about $54,000 for New Jersey weddings.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you're,
that just tells you right there how skewed the national average is. Well, because when you're doing, for all you math people out there, which I am not, just going to preface with that. Usually when you're doing averages, the numbers are closer together and usually throw out the high and you throw out the low. You have to be a math person. If you're a math person, you understand.
No, that's not how average works. Well, it'd be like the median or like the mode.
Well, no, I know that, but I mean, sometimes a high number.
No, the average is all the numbers. You don't throw it out.
Okay. Well, let's just move on.
But I mean, you got like New York too you have to think New York would be more than.
Well, I'm sure it is.
Jersey.
But my point is usually what skews an average is when you have a really, really low number and a really, really high number. So sometimes when you're doing that, you'll throw out the highest number, you'll throw out the lowest number, and it gives you a better median or mode of the middle numbers because they're more relative to each other. Like, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, New Jersey is like $20,000 above the national average. That's a pretty big significant.
Yeah.
And I think that probably throws off the national average a lot compared to like, I don't know, Mississippi, Alabama, where I mean, you know, it's more country, it's less populated. The demo is not as big as a state like New York.
Well, that too, but in New Jersey you have more Italians, and Italians have bigger families, so they're going to be spending more on their weddings. And we met an Italian couple on our honeymoon, and they were like from it, like Italian family, and they did.
People in the North would say off the boat.
Oh, I didn't know if that was like
appropriate. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but you know, my husband's Italian, so I feel like I can say that.
Yeah, so I'm saying it off the boat. Yeah, but pretty much off the boat Italian, and they had a party before the reception, like a breakfast, and then they had the reception, and then they had the wedding, and then they had this huge buffet, and then they had cocktail hour. Or no, then they had a huge buffet after the wedding, and then they had a break, and then they had cocktail hour, and then they had the actual reception, and then the next day, and they were like, oh yeah, no, it was huge.
Don't forget the Viennese table. That's like a whole dessert.
Yeah. So they had
with the coffees and the liqueurs.
Yep. They had like the whole thing, and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, where? I don't understand. They're like, yeah. So they had 3 different venues. And I'm like,
a lot.
How are we at the same place
That's
as you
kind of
are?
cultural though. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, anyway, New Jersey. Anyway, so in New Jersey, the average wedding,
let's rein it back in.
I'm like here, is about $54,000.
Yeah.
So if you had a budget of $20,000 in New Jersey, that would be considered quote unquote a budget wedding.
Yeah, of course.
So it's all depending on where you are, but I do want to say, not that we want to harp on COVID a lot. COVID shifted how weddings.
It shifted, but it gave birth to all of these new.
Oh, that was very visual.
Oh my God.
But it did. It like totally shifted. So people are now having the mini monies, and there are more elopements and the micro weddings.
Yes, I think those are cute little buzzwords that were born out of COVID.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, not elopement, but
people were
became
doing
more
them
like
before, but
socially acceptable.
It became a buzzword.
Well, yeah, I feel like elopement before COVID was like either because you're pregnant or like you ran away to Vegas and you just like eloped.
Yeah.
And, like you ran away. I'm running away, so I'm eloping. I don't want to, Daddy, I hate you.
It might have had a negative connotation.
Yeah, but
to
now
it.
it's like, no, we like eloped.
It's
And
like
now
a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing now.
It's a thing.
It's a thing now. It's like socially
Oh,
acceptable.
I'm sorry. I had an elopement.
Oh my God, did you do like a big wedding? I eloped. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, who are we right now? I don't know. But those all came out of COVID, and it shifted how like events in general are like going forward and having their big moments.
I just want to say one thing. Maybe not.
We're going to get our thoughts together. We're going to come back after this and be a professional podcast for everyone.
Oh boy. Ready when you are.
Okay. Oh, okay. And we're back.
Well, this is going great today.
Listen, we're going to focus. We're going to get it together.
Yeah.
We're talking about budget weddings.
Absolutely.
Quote budget, micro weddings.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should talk about, like, or call it micro weddings.
Yeah. Well, before the break, we were talking about how COVID kind of shifted everything and kind of brought about this whole idea of these smaller weddings, and they became very trendy. And obviously, because the amount of people that you could get together was less than what you normally would get together. But one thing that we heard a lot from the vendors that we work with is that it afforded couples to have services and products that they may not otherwise
like
would have been able to, like specialty.
Yeah.
Like maybe they wanted a custom classic car to bring them to the ceremony, or from the ceremony to the reception, but it would normally have been out of their budget, but that was something they could do. Or maybe they wanted videography. They couldn't afford it. But with these smaller type weddings, it really afforded them other opportunities that they otherwise would not have had. And that has sort of become a trend.
And I think it's a good trend.
I think it's a good trend too, because it allows the couples to do things that are very personal and authentic to them.
Yep. And we did an episode about that.
We did do an episode about that. And normally you would be like, oh, I don't have the budget for that. But it's like, you know what?
If you cut your guest list,
now
you will.
Now I do have the budget for that. And I kind of like that.
Yeah. So that is that's a reason to have a micro wedding, budget wedding. Some other reasons would be like if you're saving for a house, let's say grandma gives you $35,000 for your wedding. It says, hey, I love you so much. Use it however you want to use it. And you're like, well, I really only want to use like 10 of this for the wedding. Like, let's put the rest towards a house. That would be a reason.
That's such a practical reason too, especially with.
There was that show on a show platform and they got to go look at houses.
Oh, and they could either use their money for this or for that.
For their wedding. And they literally planned out their whole wedding. This is your budget. Here's your whole wedding.
I do remember that.
Or here's your budget for your house. This is your house.
Yeah. And I think people were shocked at how much the wedding actually cost. They're like, whoa, we had no idea.
But what's crazy is most people still
did the wedding. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. But obviously.
You have the practical couples out there that are like, we're wedding, again, it's one day.
Yeah.
Let's do the house. Like, we're going to be in the house for years. Like, let's do the house option.
Yeah. And right now housing is very expensive. So that's an important consideration to take.
Another reason might be like, you want to have a luxe honeymoon. You know what I mean? Like, let's go get married. Let's have everyone that we want, like have our close, intimate friends, family. But let's take that extra 10 and let's do like a nice honeymoon.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
travel.
That
let's get it
falls
done.
more into the priorities category. Because realistically, everything in life is about priorities.
Absolutely.
And there are some people that just want to spend the money and want to have the big, experience of the big wedding. It's kind of something they dreamed of their whole life.
Yeah.
But I think that couple that prioritizes the honeymoon or travel or other things, or the house even, it becomes a matter of priority.
I think too, one thing that I didn't obviously learn about honeymooning until I went on my honeymoon was how much I needed it. So Ryan and I, our original honeymoon plan was we wanted to start in Portugal. I'm obviously obsessed with Portugal. Like I have a fucking problem. We wanted to start in Portugal and then go to Spain, and we were going to travel. We weren't going to stay. Like we wanted to kind of like do like the young couple travel. Like we're going to fucking backpack and hike and get that shit done.
No thanks.
But well, we obviously didn't end up doing that. We went to a resort, an all-inclusive resort, and it was like day 3. We both kind of looked at each other and we were like, fucking hell, could you have imagined if we had to be walking around right now?
You need a honeymoon after the honeymoon.
Like the most exercise I want to do right now is swim up to that bar.
Bicep curls, picking up my drink.
Oh God, another mimosa if I have to.
my
Like
gosh.
it was just like, you don't realize how stressful everything is. And then you sit down on your honeymoon. And I think it's so nice to have that moment to be like, woo, bitch, we married as fuck right now. Like
opposite reaction on my honeymoon.
what?
It's not bad.
Bitch, you made me out like, oh shit, I'm married to you? Like,
No, we had so much fun at our wedding, and we went on what I thought was a pretty extravagant honeymoon. We went to Hawaii.
I had the opposite reaction on
Oh
my
my
honeymoon.
gosh.
Sorry, go ahead.
So we
Hawaii is
went-
amazing.
Yeah, and we went to the oldest hotel on the island, which
Yeah.
has a lot of history behind it. It's called the Royal Hawaiian. Plug.
Sponsor.
Loved it, but we were there, and it was, I mean, obviously it was just the 2 of us, but we were like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Wouldn't it be so much fun if we could go out to dinner with blah, 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 all of our friends?
Yeah.
Like we wished and wanted everybody that could have been there with us to experience it with, not that we didn't want to be there together by ourselves, but we just had so much fun. You go from this huge weekend of all your friends and family, and then boom, you leave. It's just the 2 of you. I think we had a little bit of separation anxiety, if you will.
I see that for us. We had people start coming in town. We got married on a Sunday. We had people start coming in town on Wednesday, and we had like a big family friends dinner shindig Friday night. Then we had a luncheon on Saturday. Then we had the rehearsal on Saturday night, and then we had more drinking and partying Saturday, or after the rehearsal.
Yeah, so you were ready. You were just ready. Like
I was like, and we had a brunch.
Yeah.
Monday, I was like, it's time to go. Like,
we did. Our weekend was not like that. So by the time I was partying and having fun with everybody, I was like, I don't want to leave you all. I want to keep this going.
yeah. Anyway, back to the episode topic. We gotta get our shit together. Okay, so a mock-up wedding. Let's say your budget, the national average, like we've said, 9,000 times before is like $32,000.
Yeah.
So let's say your budget is about 15,500.
Yeah.
What does that look like? The first thing that you're going to need to do for that budget wedding is figure out like the vibe that you want to have. Do you want something swanky and high class? Do you want something like a backyard, and a backyard wedding does not mean like backyard barbecue, like
Honky tonk.
Yeah. Like unless that's what you want, but that's not what that means. You can have a very nice backyard wedding.
Absolutely.
You can have like a wedding on a farm. I mean, you just got to kind of figure out your vibe. Do you want it to be in a hotel, have that convenience? So figure that out. At that moment, details don't necessarily matter.
No, I think that I think when you're keeping your budget lower, the details are the less important things.
I agree. Once you figure out your vibe and how you want the feel to come across, if you want that like swankier wedding, then you need to determine what is non-negotiable. Mm-hmm. So if like for me, photography, like a good photographer, non-negotiable. There was no budget for a photographer. I was not going to compromise. Pictures last forever. Top dollar photographer.
And I think that's true in any wedding budget, but especially if you have a limited amount of money or a set amount of money that you are spending, especially if you're keeping costs down and your number is below what the average wedding would cost, then you definitely have to have your non-negotiables.
Yeah. So, most of wedding budgets are spent on 50% are spent on the ceremony and the reception. Mm-hmm. So with our budget that we're playing with today, the 15,500, once you spend that 50%, you're left with $7,750.
Not a lot.
That's not a lot in the wedding world. So you really got to figure out what's important to you. For officiants, I mean, you can pay a friend, go get officiated online, have them marry you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy like that, but you definitely need to figure out per person. Typically, weddings are about $220 per person.
Based on the national averages.
Yeah. So if you're sticking with that $220 per person at your 15-5 wedding,
you're down
that's
to-
about 70 guests.
Yeah.
So if you want less than that, then that gives you more room to play. You don't
Right.
have to use all that for food and alcohol, so you have that extra. If you did want to throw in some type of specialty vendor, like Jackie's wedding, y'all had the ice.
Oh, the Italian ice.
Italian ice, which
Yeah.
was super cool. Like, because
Yeah.
it was June, it was hot. That was a great.
It was fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have these like specialty things if you want to do, play into who you are, be authentic to your significant other, to your relationship. That's something fun that
Or
you
to
can.
the mother of the bride. We're having the Italian ice, damn it.
We're having
it's
it.
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. But I mean, there are things, like if your dresses, I feel like so much goes into your wedding dress. And I'll be honest, I look at mine and I'm like, I love my dress. I know my girls aren't wearing my dress.
Okay.
Sitting in my closet and I'm like, what do I do with this dress?
We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
I got you on that.
Okay. Yeah. Next episode. I'm just kidding. No, that would be, yeah. Because I'm just like, I do
There's
like.
there's a lot that you could do with that, but
But you know what I mean?
I know what
like,
you're talking about.
Like
yeah.
people they invest like thousands of dollars into this dress. You wear one time
Right.
and then it hangs in your closet or you get it preserved and you're like,
Now what? Yeah.
well, I can't just throw this like $2,000 dress away.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? I can't throw this away.
I mean, and there's a lot of things you can do with it, but not that you would. So again, something to consider.
Yeah. So that's just something, you want to make sure too, that when you are budgeting out your micro wedding, that you are keeping in mind of the vendors and their time, their input into it. But you also have to think about like your parents, what they might want to, like you said, like the non-negotiables for parents as well. I mean, there are certain aspects of a wedding that you have to have for food, catering, like that type of thing, alcohol, if that's something that you want, DJ, the type of music you want. You brought up, I think it was the last episode or so, Jackie went to a destination wedding in Gatlinburg, but they didn't have a DJ. Like they were it was kind of more of a cost-effective.
Yeah, I mean,
wedding.
they had some speakers set up and they had a Spotify playlist. That was not important to them.
Right.
That's not a substitute for a DJ or a band.
No.
But that was just, that
Priorities.
was important
You have
to
a
them.
budget.
Yeah.
You have to figure out
Yeah.
what's.
They did the cabin that everyone could sleep in.
Yeah.
So that was what was important.
They wanted everyone together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to take another little break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the overall experience at a micro wedding or a quote unquote budget wedding.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is the contentious moment.
Yeah.
Here we are.
We have a story too.
Oh boy, do
Makes
we.
it even better.
The overall experience for the couple is obviously very important.
Yes.
However, your guest experience
Is equally as
is
important.
very important as well. Equally. Some might say more than.
Well, yeah, because they're going to talk about you forever.
Fuck yeah, they are. Fuck yeah, they are. So, how do we even start? Listen, here's the thing. All for doing a wedding that is in your price range. I don't think it is wise for anyone to go into debt to pay for a wedding.
Absolutely not.
You should not have to put another mortgage out on your house. You should not have to loan money. You should not have to go
Buy now, pay later.
Right. Like, don't do that. Like, pay for the wedding that you can afford and make it great. There are things that you need. There are things that you don't need. Priorities, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Some people really prioritize the venue, the photographer. It is all up to the couple. And yes, you want the couple to be happy at the end of the day, but your guest experience, your your wedding party experience is also very important.
Yes, I think the overall experience for everyone is important.
I'm just going to start this story off by saying your wedding party, especially brides, your bridesmaids are not your little mules, bitches. Like, they are not there to do your dirty work. They're not servers.
Right.
They are not cleaners.
Right.
They're not any type of wedding crew. They're not your wedding planner. They literally, you asked them. You're not paying
to stand
them
up for you and be
to
in a
be
wedding.
there for you, to support you. You did not pay them to clean anything up, to serve food.
We talked about this before. That's a party. That's like, hey, everybody, I'm inviting you to my party. Right. Can you guys stay to help clean up? Can you bring your own beer? Can everybody bring a dish to share?
Right.
That's a whole nother thing.
A whole nother thing. So guest experience is super important. Gonna tell a story, not naming names at all. But we know we have a mutual friend, and this friend was in someone's wedding, and this couple had their priorities, and it was really the bride. She wanted to get married at a certain time of year, and it was a very popular time of year where things tend to get more expensive. We've talked about that before. When you pick your wedding date, and dress was very important. Venue is important. Photographer was important. Mm-hmm. That was it. Yeah. Nothing else. Nothing else was important, and it was very obvious to everyone involved. When you have a wedding, and I want to say that their budget was less than $10,000. When you have that type of wedding, spending over $2,000 on a dress,
that doesn't leave a lot of room in the budget for anything else.
Not wise. When your photographer is,
you know what? If that's the case, I'm just going to jump in. You're better off to just go elope, the two of you. Get your pictures, because you said photographer, right? Mm-hmm. Get your pictures in your $2,000 dress. Mm-hmm. Call it a day.
Call it a motherfucking day.
Yep.
Call it a day. And what ended up happening, long story short, I think it was like badly catered mac and cheese, potato salad, and it was
like from a local restaurant, or
I'm not 100% sure, but it was dropped off. There were no servers. So the wedding party, the bridesmaids had to literally serve, set up, and clean up. Yeah. And they were treated like they were the servers. Like they were the servers. They were treated like, I'm sorry, can I get more of this? Or blah, like, this isn't what I don't want this. And it's like,
is there anything else? What else is, And
they were like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm supposed to be here as well. It was also BYOB, which
is still okay.
It's still fine. But that leaves a wide variety of what people are going to bring. So you might have people who are like, hey, I'll just bring some beer, whatever, not a big deal. And then you're going to have people bringing liquor bottles. Yeah. That is opening up a
can of worms.
Huge can of worms.
Yeah. That's a hard one, because we talked about this earlier, and I would classify that, like I said before, as a party. I'm going to get dressed up. I'm inviting you guys over to my party. Hey, girlfriends, can you help out at this set up? Yeah. Can you stay after to clean up? Yeah. Can you do this? Can you do that? Whatever. And I get that people have a certain amount of money, but I think you need to be very
respectful
of how you're going to spend that money. So if the dress and the photographer are important to you, maybe you should have an elopement, come back, and maybe throw a party like that for your friends.
Well, and just think about too, like everyone that, like all the people that you care about, the people you care about most, you've asked them to stand up with you the day of your wedding, to be, hey, stand right next to me. I love you so much. I want you to be right by my side. But I also want you to be my work bitch, and I want you to clean the kitchen. Like that, they literally had to clean utensils.
Yeah, like, oh, before we leave this place, the floors have to be mopped, and that, kind of like when you rent a.
That was honestly like, that was really it. And it was just kind of like, that's just like, you don't treat people like that. Well, and yes, your friends want you to have the best day that you can have. Yeah. But you just need to be conscious of that.
I mean, I don't even know how to answer that. Guest experience obviously is very important. You want your guests to have a good time, but I think that's a little out of the norm of what you would expect a bridal party to do.
But then you also have to think too, like your vendor experience, like that bride, anyone, like if you are choosing to have, let's just focus on photographers for a second. If photographer is big for you, you need to think about that photographer's experience. If you don't have the money for a wedding planner, that unfortunately falls on the photographer so much.
Yeah, they plan the whole timeline.
So now that photographer, people are coming to them saying like, hey, what about this? What about this?
When are we doing the cake cutting? When are we doing this? Because you're taking pictures, so you must know.
Like I'm not here to do that. So then they're put in the middle of that. And that's just not fair. Like, just, it doesn't matter what your budget is.
Right.
Honestly, if you have a $5,000 wedding, if you have a $15,000 wedding, if you have a $50,000 wedding, you need to take into consideration your guest experience and your vendor experience.
Yes. And I think you need to have your expectations be
Reality.
100% realistic, because I mean, it just is what it is. My mom used to say, you have champagne taste on a beer pocketbook.
Preach.
You know? And
Yes.
so, you know,
My whole life.
everyone's budget is what it is. And I totally respect that. But you're not going to have a wedding that checks all these boxes and does all of these things with a, you know, not a budget that supports that. So you have to really be realistic. You have to be kind to your guests and your bridal party and everyone involved, because you want everyone to have a good time.
Right. Well, on the flip side of that, my mom told me about one of her friends. They went to a very low key wedding, and it had like a cute little theme. It was a picnic basket wedding.
Fun.
So they, I think it was in Chapel Hill. I want to say like at an arboretum or something. Like they did, like they rented out that venue. But they didn't get a caterer. They had everyone bring their own picnic basket and picnic blanket, and they had everyone lay out their baskets.
And you know what?
Blankets.
That's an amazing guest experience,
isn't it? Like, but they did provide. They had wine, beer, and champagne.
Oh my gosh!
So the guests could bring.
Why have you not told me about this sooner?
Because we didn't talk about it before.
That is so. You know what? Continue.
So they had everyone they did have an aisle type situation, and they had the guests put out their blankets and their picnic baskets, and I want to say there was music, but I don't think it was a DJ. They kept it very low key, but they had the wedding, they had the ceremony, and then everyone just got to have their picnics outside and gather, and it was like a cute little luncheon outside with picnics.
That is the epitome of a bride on a budget.
Yeah.
With an ultimate guest experience.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. So it surrounded in a garden, a very Alice in Wonderland type feel.
There's nobody that's going to walk away from that says whoa, that sucked.
No, all of her guests loved it.
How
everyone,
adorable.
Right? Everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And it was just very no one's getting plastered wasted, but it's just a cute, fun afternoon.
I really love that. That is a great example of how to do something meaningful on a budget.
Yeah.
If you have a limited amount of money that you can spend, or if you're just don't want to spend a lot of money and you're saving it for your house or some of the other things that we talked about.
Priorities are key. You know what I mean?
She needs to be my friend. You need to tell me who that is.
Okay, afterwards. But yeah, no, I mean, there are just a ton of things that you can do.
You just have to get creative.
Right. And just absolutely creative. Just use your imagination, really hone in on your DIY expertise.
You really have to evaluate what your expectations are. What is it that you're looking for? Because the most unrealistic thing you can do is think that you're going to, have this big extravagant event and all the things that you want costs a lot of money, but you don't have the money to put into it. You can still get an amazing wedding and an amazing experience for you and your significant other and the group of people that are surrounding you and your guests, with something so creative like that.
I know, and that's so cute.
I love it.
I do too. Anything else to add into
No,
this?
but I think that's a great way to sign out, because that just, made me so happy.
I know, I can tell you're so gleeful over that
I
idea.
know. I wish I knew that story before.
You're I want to go have picnics. Can we just gather a bunch of friends? How
well,
cute
you just
would that
gave
be?
me a good idea for a weekend I have coming up in a couple weeks. So,
perfect. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep, anytime. All right, guys, if you have done any type of cost-effective, budget, micro, elopement, wedding type shindig, send us those stories. We would love to hear. We would love to get your feedback. We would love to hear any drama that happened at stories@cheerstothatshit.com. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and watch these wonderful videos and episodes on YouTube. If you do want to submit your stories anonymously, you can do that. There's a link in our bio on Instagram. And you can submit that anonymously.
Please send us the stories. We love them so much. It's a joy reading them, and we can't wait to share them.
I know we want to be able to build episodes off of these stories.
Yes.
So have like little mini episodes of just like sharing everyone's stories.
Yeah.
So we have a bank of them, and we're ready to share. So definitely continue to send them in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Until next time.
Next week.
Hey, cheers to that
Cheers
shit.
to that shit.
Boom.
Bye.